Hey, how's it going, guys? This is your boy Hazzed, and today we're playing the Unholy DK, discussing the recent nerf that Unholy DKs took. Now, Frost receives a tiny little buff from this, but Unholy DKs are actually being toned down quite a bit. If you remember on the last video of the battleground where I fell down the shaft, I was stating in the video that something seemed off. My damage wasn't where it should be, but I didn't notice any nerfs, and there was no, hotfix nerf post going on with Unholy DKs, so I was really confused about it, so I had to look a little deeper, and I came across what actually happened to it, so let's go ahead and jump into this video and talk about it. Real quick, we're going to touch on Frost. Basically, stamina was buffed up. It's 120% now. Spell multiplier. Sindrago's Fury deals 40% damage in PvP. I mean, that hasn't changed much. It actually was nerfed down 60%, so if it deals 40% damage, there's no change there. Now, let's get to Unholy stat template. Unholy is 80% strength now, 75% mastery, 125% haste, and 120% stamina. So it sounds like they had a little bit of a haste, stamina buff, but strength and mastery nerf. And looking down into these spell multipliers, now this is the thing that really caught me off guard. The stuff that really just went, whoa! But I mean, it really kind of needed to happen, to tell you the truth, guys. And holy damage was insane. Verdant Plague now deals 75% damage in PvP, which is a 25% nerf. Dark Arbiter now deals 70% damage in PvP, which is a 30% nerf. Epidemic now deals 85% damage, which is a 15% nerf. Another pretty large nerf came with a 25% nerf to Apocalypse damage, now dealing 75%. And Dragged the Helheim deals 80% damage in PvP. Down, of course, from 100, so that's another 20% nerf to that ability. And it looks like to me that all around Unholy's kind of took a pretty large damage nerf to a lot of their basic skills, especially in AoE situations. This post quickly explains the changes to Wraith Walk being taken down to 45-second cooldown, and of course Unholy DK's Death's Advanced. It's a 15% movement speed basically being removed from the game, so they no longer get it. This ends up being actually a slight nerf to Unholy's mobility and a slight buff to Frost. Let's find out right here what Epidemic hits for outside of PvP combat on these training dummies. Get back your pet. Alright, so I'm going to throw up Epidemic. It's hitting for about 18,000, 18.2 outside of crit, which should be about what it's hitting for. That seems to be about normal, but I can imagine after reading these patch notes, if they are implemented or if they're in the game, we will see a difference in damage when we go ahead and hit our next training dummy. Here is the PvP training dummy. As you saw on the last dummy, it hit for about 18.5k. That was regular PvE damage combat. Now, the thing that made me realize that these patch notes, or these PvP patch notes, were implemented was I realized that if I went into PvP, resilience would also affect the damage reduction. I wouldn't really be able to tell very well about, the difference. And one of the things I did know is the ability Epidemic was nerfed down to 70% damage, so that'd be about 30% damage off of the top, so about 18k, so it should hit roughly around 15k-ish, I can imagine. And what we got here is the training dummy. Now, this training dummy is next to this little Coliseum queuing thing in your garrison, which basically allows you, when you hit it, it flags your character for PvP, and you scale for PvP and stuff. So what should happen is we should lose 30% Epidemic damage when we hit this target, so we'll go ahead and put out Outbreak and hit Epidemic. Now, we got to get away from that crit thing. That wasn't supposed to happen. We got to click off Unholy Strength. Alright, hitting Epidemic, and it hits for 15.5. So that tells us right away that that little nerf, the PvP nerf build, has already been set in for Unholy DK. I was really confused about it at first last time we did that battleground, but you can tell after this little test that these little nerfs have definitely been implemented into the game. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is, with Unholy, the other thing that got nerfed was, it may not even be under the spellbook anymore, was they took out the 15% speed increase that Unholy used to have, and I can't think of the word of it right this second off the top of my head, but it's definitely going to be within those screenshots within the beginning. I'll probably touch on it at that point. But Unholy DK received a bit of a nerf on this, definitely. And Frost DKs came out a little better because, of course, they're getting a slight mobility buff when it comes to Wraith Walk.